and humans are able to exploit their environment in a new and different way. Population then grows until, again, carrying capacity is reached, and a new kind of a new technology hopefully emerges. And this has happened, at least in the case of agriculture and industry. Looking here at the very end of the graph, you can sort of see the graph is flattening out, and that is because the graph is flattening out because population growth is falling now. It had been running much more rapidly in the late middle 20th century. Population growth was, I believe, as high as 2.5% a year, and now it is more in the order of 1.1, 1.2% a year, which means that it should level out at around 9.5 billion at about the middle of this century. So the forecast that demographers are pretty comfortable with, the population report, will stabilize around the middle of the century, does kind of indicate that we are perhaps at the end of another big, of the third bump. The question of whether there's a fourth bump waiting or something entirely different is an interesting one right now. We've exploited our environment pretty well so far. Okay. Questions about that so far? Okay, then let's take a closer look at hunters and gatherers. This is a map that you can get if you join the National Geographic's Genographic project. And you send them a DNA sample, which is a swab from your cheek. They will tell you where your distant ancestors migrated from. And they all start here with the so-called mitochondrial Eve in Africa. And this is just an example of what one person's looks like. This is traced through the maternal line, the mitochondrial DNA. The way this works is really quite interesting. The dinosaur explanation, because that's really all I understand. Mitochondrial DNA is not the kind of DNA that does things to your body. It's part of the cell, but it is not really part of you. I mean, it's part of you in the sense that it's in your cells, but it doesn't express itself. So you inherit mitochondrial DNA from your mother, and you inherit exactly the same mitochondrial DNA that she has. It doesn't go through that happy process that your other DNA goes through in sexual reproduction, where you get some of your genes from your father and some from your mother. You get all of the mitochondrial DNA from your mom, and that means that you can trace the maternal line all the way back. The only thing that changes from the mitochondrial DNA are mutations, which are believed to occur randomly, but at the same rate. So by looking at the mitochondrial, at the mutations as they develop in mitochondrial DNA, you can tell when where your ancestors were by just simply comparing it to where people who are indigenous to these areas are, or what the DNA looks like, what the mitochondrial DNA looks like of those people. It's a sloppy process because people have moved around so much. But statisticians are great at this kind of stuff, and they're pretty confident that they've got it. The map, based on all of the mitochondrial DNA, looks like this. And what it shows, as I said, is that the beginnings are in Africa. Around 100,000 years ago, Homo sapiens started migrating outward. 70,000 years ago, they got to Australia. 40, 50,000 years ago to Europe. Again, rough numbers. I'm not sure what to make of this 15,000 years ago number. That is apparently from Europe over to North America. I'm a little bit puzzled by that one. Usually the story that we tell is 12 to 15,000 years ago, because that coincides with the last ice age, and that's when you could walk across the land bridge between Alaska and Siberia. Okay, it'd be nice if I could point with this. That land bridge was called a land bridge, but it was about 1,000 miles wide. It turns out that the ocean is quite shallow there, so it wasn't really that hard to get across. Nonetheless, it was an ice age. It's cold up there now. You can imagine what it was like during an ice age. So it wasn't that easy. There is evidence that people came before this, that there are some fossils, some sites, some archaeological sites in South America that imply that humans may have been here 30, 35,000 years ago. But they're a little bit controversial, and the belief among most archaeologists is that the population that sprang from that, if they did come, wasn't consequential. And most of the indigenous, or so-called indigenous population, springs from this migration, the 12 to 15,000 year or a little longer ago migration. Okay, and that's what this mitochondrial DNA suggests as well. Okay, so once the hunter-gatherers had owned the world, along came agriculture. And as I've said, it came in different places, came along at different places at different times. And here's this Jared Diamond story that she tells in Guns, Germs, and Steel, that I think is an excellent book. It starts first in Mesopotamia, and by 5,000 years ago, it's pretty widespread along Eurasia, by which we mean what's called Europe and Asia today. It's one landmass, and they hadn't invented Europeans back then, so we call it Eurasia. But critically, in the Andes and in Mesoamerica, agriculture is believed to have begun only around 3,500 years ago. So there's a 5,000-year head start for the Eurasians. Now, as I said, it wasn't an unambiguously good thing at first, but in the end, it's a prerequisite to complex societies. Until you have agriculture, you can't have a lot of specialization, and specialization is what brings on technological change, for good or bad. So in map form, here's the same information. Eurasia is here currently, where is the Fertile Crescent, 8,500 years ago, where agriculture is thought to have first begun. That's current day Iraq, and Mesoamerica, of course, here around 3,500 BP. Okay. Now, agriculture. To people who live in the cities, farms look like farms, big deal. But that does turn out to be a big deal. There's a lot of difference between what each of these agricultural societies got when they started. And these are differences that are simply due to geography and luck, at least for the most part, although there's a question about that, which we'll get to shortly. But Southwest Asia, here again, Fertile Crescent, the crops that are cultivated there are wheat and peas and olives. In China, rice and millet. Mesoamerica, corn, beans, squash. And the Andes and Amazonia, potatoes and manioc. These are all good crops that are still very much grown today. The big difference, though, in animals. If you look down the animals column, the Eurasians got sheep, goat, pig, silkworm. I don't know if silkworm are very good to eat, but sheep, goat, pig, that's still dinner. And cows should be on there as well. In Mesoamerica and the Andes, that would be in the New World, llama and guinea pig, those are not for dinner. They're considerably less commercial potential than guinea pig. Nice pets, but no no match for horses when Pizarro and Cortez showed up. There are also differences in how hard it was to cultivate these things, and that largely explains the 5,000-year difference. With wheat, which was the first crop cultivated in the Fertile Crescent, it turns out to be really easy. Wheat, the wild ancestor of wheat, still lives in that region. There are several species of it. It grows, and it broadcasts its seeds. This is the only problem with it. When the seeds are ripe, the stalk or the seed pod explodes. I'm sure it's not dangerous, but it does broadcast the seeds all over the place and makes it hard to pick up, so it's not a really good deal. But a single gene mutation leaves the seeds on the stalk. So all you have to do 8,500 years ago, you're wandering around, is to find one of these and take it home and drop a few seeds by the outhouse, and you're done. The next year, the next season, those are going to sprout, and you're going to carry that single gene mutation, and you have a wheat field in no time. Contrast that with the ancestor of corn. This is called teosinte, I think it is pronounced. And this is 4 centimeters. These are centimeters, not inches, centimeters. It's that big. If you look at it long enough, and you're disposed to being generous, you could see this maybe as corn. But it's not. It's a long way from this to the corn that's grown. In fact, it's about 1,000 years worth of effort. Teosinte, like corn, has tassels and silk, and they're on a single plant, and they spread the pollen between them. It's wind carry. So it's not hard to cross-pollinate, but it takes experimentation. And that is indeed the only explanation for the existence of corn, is domestication, painstaking domestication over as much as 1,000 years. Yes? So how would the early agriculturalists, what would they see in that plant? Why would they cultivate that corn? How do they go about it? Well, of course I can't ask them, so I don't know. I presume that this, although tiny, is still edible. I don't know why they decided on it, but apparently they learned fairly quickly that they could affect the characteristics of it by transferring pollen from one plant to another. Because it's hard to see how they could have possibly managed to get this to turn into corn otherwise. But obviously, you got to give them credit. It takes longer to make food out of this than it does out of wild wheat. The consequences of this, well, yeah, add one other thing. Another advantage, the second advantage of the Eurasians, besides having better crops to start with, is that they've got a continental landmass that's oriented east to west. And this means that they share a lot larger climate zones. So stuff that grows pretty well anywhere in Eurasia grows pretty well in a lot of different places. The Americas is different on that score. There is substantial east to west, but the major axis is north to south, if you think of this as a single landmass. And the effect then is that if you develop corn here in Mesoamerica, it's not necessarily going to grow all that well in Kansas, although it turns out that it does. Or some kind of corn grows pretty well in Kansas. So another advantage. The consequences of this are quite considerable. Let's see if we can. This is more really a political question than perhaps in some ways more of a political question than a historical question. The absence of animals in the New World, absence of domesticatable animals, is still an open question, one that's hotly debated. But it has a huge, very important effect. It's going to be really a good half of the explanation for why Pizarro won and Atahualpa lost. Yet, it is a mystery because the fossil records clearly shows there were a lot of massive mammals, at least prior to the Ice Age. 40 large mammals, in fact, large meaning over 40 kilograms, so 80-pound animals. And they included large sloths and saber-toothed cats and hundreds of types of birds and horses and giant bears and lions and camels and giant vultures. Presumably, or possibly, some of these might have been domesticable, but they were all extinct 12 to 5,000 years ago. And the question really is whether they went extinct because of the climate change or because of the Clovis arrow. This is a technological change that's discovered, and it coincides in time with the beginnings of these extinctions. As I say, it's ambiguous. Archaeologists debate back and forth whether the advent of this more efficient hunting technique could or did explain the extinction of all these creatures before it became a good idea to domesticate them, or not. And as you can think about it for a second, it's a political question too. It's a very charged question, because if Native Americans caused this extinction, then they're no better than us. It's the sort of funky argument. But it matters, and I don't have the answer, but I will raise the question. What I do have, though, is the executive summary of 1491, and from this I want to explain why it worked out the way it did in the 1500s. So the Old World, by which I mean mainly Eurasia, the place that Europeans were coming from, they had wheat, they had rice, they had cows, they had goats, they had horses, they had sheep, they had pigs, iron, steel, printing press. The printing press here is not itself instrumental, but it's evidence of complex, specialized societies. Right? And they also have smallpox, measles, typhus, yellow fever, malaria, and the plague. Okay? The New World, they have maize or corn, potatoes, llamas, guinea pigs, and turkeys. And maybe, they don't have iron and steel. They do have considerable metallurgy, but it's mainly an ornamental sort of metallurgy, not the kind that works well for armaments. They don't have wheels, apparently. That makes sense because they don't have beasts of burden. And they might have syphilis, but that too is hotly debated. I tend to think that they didn't, and that, in fact, they had virtually no communicable diseases to share in 1491. But I say it is debatable. Syphilis arrived in Europe at the same time that Columbus returned from the New World. But which way it traveled is hard to know. In any case, you might look at that last item there, smallpox, measles, and so forth, as a distinct disadvantage for the Old World. And in 1491 it was. But in 1492, that became a distinct advantage, because these diseases just devastated the native populations. We actually know the name of the person who brought smallpox to Mexico. I don't know it, but I wrote it down, I should say. His name is Francisco de Bahia, and he was an African slave sent in, which is another interesting story, sent in Narvaez's expedition, which was sent to stop Cortez. But instead, he wound up helping Cortez quite a bit because he had smallpox. And there are not a lot of counterfactuals in history that we can be sure of, but I think most people would agree that absent the devastation of these new diseases, Cortez and Pizarro, especially Pizarro, would have had a much tougher time subduing these empires. It could have come out very, very differently. So why didn't the New World have these diseases? And one of the reasons they said was that it was simply because they had no domesticated animals, either because they were extinct at the recent ice age, or just bad luck didn't produce any of them here, or because they were made extinct by the Clovis arrows. But it's probably also important that the early ancestors of the Native Americans came across that land bridge. Most human diseases were developed or evolved, co-evolved with humans in Africa or in warm tropical places where humans developed. Okay? And as such, they didn't do well. They don't do well in northern places. I think one of the trivia facts was the variant in the disease rate between the variation in the death rate in early Virginia versus New England. Well, part of that is winter. Winter's a very, very healthy thing for humans because humans didn't evolve with winter. Okay? So coming across the land bridge may have acted very much as a disease filter, both by being inhospitable for microbes, but also by being inhospitable for sick people. People who were not particularly strong and healthy might not have made that trek across the land bridge. Let's see. Numerically, though, the numbers are absolutely shocking. I've got 42 million in this book, but as I said, that is controversial, and some scholars estimate the population of the New World as high as 100 million, which would have been on par with, or perhaps even more than that of Europe. But by 1500, or by 1600, the population was probably 13 million. That is a huge, unparalleled, devastating demographic disaster. And I think the explanation is, as I said, largely geographic, but it plays obviously a huge role in our story, because it explains why the Spaniards are going to conquer this area, and why when the Puritans show up, they're going to think that their land is fairly uninhabited. Let me just. Okay, well, I guess I didn't give you enough time to schmooze, so I'll just make one last point. In the Europe column, there's another similar devastating decline there between 1340 and 1400, right? Whereas at 1340, we should see 74 to 52 million in Europe. Okay, these are estimates. That is, of course, the Black Death. And that's not exactly on the same scale, but it's pretty devastating. Yet because Europe was lucky enough not to be concurrently invaded by armies of Africans or South Americans riding large animals that they had never seen before, they were able to recover from that. The lower population actually became an advantage, and it's one of the key factors that set off the Renaissance that we will talk about on Monday. So I'm sorry that I didn't give you the 5 minutes that I promised, but I'd encourage you to schmooze in the hallway in an effort to find partners. I will give you some time on Monday. I know that people are joining. I think there's only one person left on the waiting list, but things are still fluid. So if you can't wait around, I think you'll still be able to find lab partners. You can also send email on eSpace. But yes, everybody needs 2 partners. Groups must be 3, exactly 3.